life and landmarks and attractions bring people into a community because they want to live there.
I apologize. I sort of got carried away listening to you. I think your time is up. Are there questions?
I don't know. I'll turn this over, then I'll have another 3 minutes. But
questions? Sort of a euphoria. Any questions for Judy at this point? She's reached her 3 minutes. If not, Judy, I'm sorry.
Let me just finish up with this. This is an important project, guys. Don't stall any longer. You're within a few $100s of something that's really unique and special. We'll find a way to make it work. And when you have something that can be really wonderful, again, like I said, beauty often attracts.
Thank you.
Business.
Further public comment? Well, maybe I can say something that will generate more public comment. I agree with Judy. I wonder if we don't have a local bidding preference. Is this a prevailing wage a deal at this point in time?
Yeah, so it would be both federal and state prevailing wage.
Does that make it extremely difficult for any local contractors to make a competitive bid if it's a prevailing wage job, Mr. Crane?
Just makes it expensive.
Because that would be another thing in terms of being relevant to the local economy and stimulating the economy, is if there were any way to figure out that to create a local bidding preference. I don't know if we could do it. I hope we explore that just in general. But I hope we preserve this building. Between now and completion of the construction is 18 months, or, I mean, what would we assume? If we said go for it, we want to fund it, it's a two-year completion deal from this point to the end?
No, it's just a matter, we're partway through with our plans and specs. When we got to the point with the architect, we put them on hold until we figured these things out. So he needs to finish his plans and specs, get the bid documents ready. We'll go out for bids, advertise, and I would say once we award within 6 months, I would say it would all be done. It's not that much work.
About a year. Yeah. So that would give our economic coordinator time, MTA time, bike dealerships. It's going to be on the rail, the rail trail. It seems like maybe a nice stopping off point there for maybe bike rentals, or I think we should save the building if we know how to protect it. I think the community would be behind this, and it would simply be good for our spirits as a community. Yes, Councilmember Landis.
I like the building too, but I wonder how much we'd be reimbursed by NCRA if we decided not to do it. And since they're so keen on protecting or preserving it as a building and not selling it as surplus, I mean, if that's really true, could they do something with it?
Well, when I said they were keen on it, what I felt in that meeting was they were keen on their agreement with us, that they didn't want to back out of the agreement that we had already walked forward. I didn't feel that they were
seeing its historic value.
Well, they didn't really address that, but what they were more discussing in that meeting was that they feel responsible for the position that we are currently in, and that they did not intend to surplus that part, and they would try to do whatever they could, and I felt that they were very genuine about that. And the other question, reimbursement. Actually, the city is in the agreement. The city is supposed to put no money towards this project. The NCRA is supposed to cover everything, and so my concern about the reimbursement is that not only if we backed out and Caltrans said, well, you didn't complete the project, so you have to eat everything, and they would very well say that, then us going after the NCRA might not be easy because they don't have any money, and that's why they're wanting to surplus all these properties. And so for us to also, I would think that we should also ask them to pay for this $207,000, but that's just kind of, I don't think it's gonna happen, even though in the agreement it says that they're supposed to cover all costs. We're not supposed to cover any. So,
Right, you still have the floor.
Oh, I don't know quite where to go with that. It just seems like if we have a contract that says something and it's not happening, that we should examine that contract.
Councilmember Crane.
I concur. There should be some way of at least getting future value. If we're going to pay money from RDA or any other city funds when we're not supposed to have to pay money, it shouldn't be a gift. There should be some equity or some return arranged for on the front end.
well, quite honestly, I think they would say, well, that gets us out of the bind of having to be concerned about. You know, if they said, well, we don't have that money and we can't do that, so I'll tell you what, maybe we'll repay you for the part you've already done and scrap the 207, and then they don't have to worry about surplus. They can surplus the whole thing.
Councilmember Roden.
Well, I think one thing we could ask would be to have first right of refusal on the surplus, on the property if they ever surplus it. I don't think they can promise to give us money. I mean, they're broke.
Well, although our
Since they surplus,
redevelopment,
they'll have money.
our money
No, they
redevelopment
don't.
guy
They have to pay, anyway.
thought about rent sharing, that we could maybe work out a deal with them if they're gonna rent the building, that we could get in on that to get our money back. And I think that's a good idea. That was Mr. San Giacomo's idea.
I want to recommend as mayor that we go around maybe several more times, and then we try to conclude the discussion after several more comments apiece. Mr. Crane.
If we can get a first right of refusal and equity, then we can make a decision, if it's surplused, whether we want to step in using that equity or receive payment out of what they get for it. That's a possibility.
I mean, if we were to go forward, I'm not clear what you're saying.
Let's say we invest $250,000 of RDA
That's all
money.
I want.
And we say, all right, we'll do that. You're supposed to provide the funds, but you're not doing that, providing the funds, so we'll kick in the money, but it's secured by first right of refusal, and if whatever you surplus down here, we get our money back, because that's a money-generating transaction, and we get some of that money.
'Cause there's debt there.
That's a possible tool set.
Again, we're going to try to conclude this after two more rounds. Mr. Thomas.
I'm not going to shed much light, but I have received the understanding that there are considerable legal impediments to their surplusing this land. Do you have any light to shed on that? Or does the...
I don't think, I think their big issue was this. I don't know that there are any other ones.
I just want to mention it at the meeting that NCRA was discussing the potential to surplus this. Our city attorney raised that question, whether they were allowed to do this as part of their governing authority. And just back to the email that I read at the start of the presentation that came from Chris Neary, their attorney, it sounds like they're not leaning towards doing the surplus. But that's just the communication we got from him.
I'd like to put, oh, yes.
Just a suggestion, if, rather than a right of first refusal, if they already have a contractual obligation to pay, right? Why not ask them, as a condition of you going forward expending the funds, that they secure that promise to repay with a deed of trust on the property?
That's good.
Then if they don't repay and there's a default, you're in a, I don't know if the property